1910, a young man named Santo Cambianica left Berzo San Fermo in Lombardia, Italy.
That's all made up. You made all those things up right now.
Oh no, I was reading Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
So he came through Ellis Island and somehow managed to keep that name and made his way to LA. Most of the major winemaking was being done up north at this point, and that was made even more so as the LA River started getting paved over, but that didn't stop young Cambianica from setting up an old boxcar in 1917 at 737 Lamar Street and painted the words San Antonio Winery on it.
Boy.
San Antonio being Saint Anthony, the patron saint of the recovery of lost items. But 1917 was a bad time to pick to start your winery because just 3 years later, Prohibition hit and suddenly it was illegal for guys like him to work. Before Prohibition, don't tell my girlfriend my voice quaked. Before Prohibition, there were around 100 wineries in LA, and it sent almost all of them out of business. Yeah. But Cambianica had a special card up his sleeve, and that card, the God of Spades.
I never played that card before, but you know what? I feel like if I had it, I'd understand poker a little more.
You never played Go God?
No. You never played War on God?
You never played Religious War? He was a very religious man, and during his time in LA, he had become very well known in the Italian and Catholic community. So when Prohibition hit, he managed to secure a deal with the Archdiocese of LA to take winemaking back to its local roots and was awarded a permit to allow his winery to continue to produce sacramental wine for use only in services in the Roman Catholic Church. Before Prohibition, San Antonio Winery was making just 2,000 cases of sacramental wine a year, but even though he was only supplying 2 churches during Prohibition, by 1933, he was making 25,000 a year. Their overall wine production actually increased during Prohibition.
Because I'm sure everyone was going to church because then you could get a taste of the hooch.
The country had never been more pious. So San Antonio came out stronger than ever after Prohibition, and by the time it was over, they emerged as one of the few wineries in town that was still producing wine, so demand was high, so it was even better for them to get some extra help to keep up since he was running the winery entirely by himself. In 1936, Cambianica's nephew, Stefano Riboli, was sent from Italy to join his uncle in LA as, is he really his uncle? Is he really his uncle? What's the meaning of this nephew-uncle apprenticeship? So he was sent to LA to apprentice for his uncle and to keep him away from the coming World War that his parents, they smelled that coming. The two of them continued the growth and business the winery saw, but in 1956, Cambianica died and the winery now belonged to Riboli. Hey, uncle's gone, I'm drinking everything. Everyone party at my winery. Wine.
Bring a keg of wine.
He not only kept the business going strong, but he even improved the business. In the 50s, he added a tasting room to the winery, which made San Antonio one of the first wineries ever to get a tasting room. It started becoming more than just a functioning winery, but also an institution and a tourist destination. Yeah. Around this time, however, most of the state's vineyards were up north, and it was clear that they were producing better grapes. That's why they were up north, rather than in the increasingly gross Los Angeles. So by the 70s, the Riboli family had bought land for their vineyards in Monterey County, and then in the 80s, more land in the prestigious Rutherford appellation of Napa Valley. Nowadays, they have some 500 acres of vineyards up there, but a lot of their grapes are now coming from the Templeton Gap area of Paso Robles. They now make 4 million bottles of wine a year, including 60,000 cases of sacramental wine for churches all over the country. They're still in the original location as the biggest and oldest continually run winery in the city of Los Angeles, and for that they have been made a Los Angeles Cultural Monument. They have a restaurant there and guided tours and tastings, and Stefano Riboli is still alive as of this recording. Once he hears this, it might not be the case. And apparently he hangs out at the winery all day giving out free bottles of wine to people who come take the tour. So take note, winos. Yeah.